When No Man's Sky came out in 2016, it was seen as something that summed up everything wrong with the gaming industry at that time. A broken pile of trash released after an unrealistic level of hype, as Sean Murray bragged about features that were not there at numerous E3s. Essentially, it was like the discount indie version of any Todd Howard game or Ubisoft's Watch Dogs. And well, when it came out, there was an enormous amount of hype, and then there was disappointment as customers bought it, found out it was buggy, and not what was shown off at Industry Expo after Industry Expo, and numerous people refunded the game on Steam, or managed to get refunds for the console version. The game got updates, sure, but most people forgot about No Man's Sky as they went on to play other hyped-up multiplayer games and games that were baiting streamers. I could repeat what others have said numerous times in the past, but I think the best way to experience how bad No Man's Sky was, the disappointment level, and to a greater extent, the big problem in gaming nowadays with rushed, overhyped disappointments, is to watch the Kroby Cat video on No Man's Sky, which I'll put a link to in the description. Anyhow, the other day, maybe a few weeks ago when I was browsing Gamefly, I saw the game was coming out on the Xbox One. I thought of something. Since there are people who go online and defend this game and say, this game's finally fixed, I thought I'd put to the test the whole theory. Is the modern release something broken and then fix it later release model even remotely sustainable? Now in the past, as many hardcore gamers who sound like 30-year-old boomers with back in my day stories will tell you, games were released and then never fixed or patched. You only had one shot to release a game. You only had one opportunity to get the game out the door. And if it was broken, it would be a broken game forever. And this led to the Miyamoto quote, which about how a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Once the internet and hard disks were common among gaming platforms, patches started to be put out for games. The PC had games with patches being released even back in the DOS era, and the original Xbox was the first console where most games could get patches with the name title update applying to each Xbox patch. Furthermore, some PS2 games were able to be patched online as well if you connected to the internet, but this was used less often due to memory card limitations and the fact that nobody played online on the PS2. The 360 and PS3 gave every game the ability to be patched online the minute you fired the game up, and while at first on the 360, these patches were limited to around 2 to 4 megs with a fee being required to patch the game, over time as patch limits were lifted, as costs were lifted, and as developers picked up bad habits, which I'd say was around the time Kinect and PlayStation Move were being shat out, patches started to become bigger and bigger and bigger, with games starting to get day one patches, and the Xbox One and PS4 really kicked off the era of massive day one patches, and so did the rise of early access games on Steam, where developers wanted to clone the Minecraft business model of releasing a beta game for a low cost, building up hype, and then eventually releasing version 1.0 with a higher cost could easily do that. Except, as we've learned, early access was a failed business model. It didn't quite work out that way for numerous reasons. Early access became a slang term for broken and unfinished games, with patches eventually coming out to fix them in the future. And when No Man's Sky was new, it was being called a $60 early access game, a game that cost a lot of money yet clearly was unfinished, with patches that might eventually come out to fix the game. Patching essentially went from fixing exploits, bugs, and making good games better to trying to fix a broken game that was sold to you. And while on one hand you can view it as trying to make it right for the customer, the problem is when every single developer does this, it devalues it at worst, and at best changes your game buying habits too. I can't wait for this hyped up game to be $15 at GameStop. I guess it's time to reference Miyamoto's famous quote that's aged like fine wine. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. I mean, shit, the day this game came out on the Xbox One, I couldn't find this game for sale at Walmart. So here we have No Man's Sky on the Xbox One, being released 2 years after its infamous PS4 and PC launch that led to a massive amount of refunds. I'm reviewing it a week or so later because Gamefly shipping is a complete joke, and despite telling me it shipped out on the 23rd, one day before it came out, this game came to me on August 3rd. Don't fucking use GameFly, people. Anyhow, when you start No Man's Sky, the first thing you notice is the clunky user interface. I don't know if Hello Games snorted the same crack Bungie did when they designed Destiny, but instead of getting a menu where you select options by pressing a button and selecting it like, in every other console game made in the last 30 plus years, they decide to use one of those mouse-style user interfaces where you use a pointer on screen to select stuff with an analog stick and a pointer that moves slowly. I'm not kidding. They threw out years of user design wisdom for this garbage. It didn't work in Destiny, and it sure doesn't work here. And if I'm comparing this game with fucking Destiny, a game so dull and devoid of anything resembling fun that I didn't even bother to review it despite renting it, that says a whole lot about what's to come. So my initial thought process with No Man's Sky was, let's play this game and let's mine shit. Oh wait, something's killing me. Time to mine more. Wait, yeah, this thing's trying to kill me. Maybe I should try find it. Oh, it's sending more. Yeah, so apparently those are trying to kill you. Let's start again and mine some more. And then you get killed by the harsh conditions of said planet once your miner runs out of energy and needs to recharge with stuff you don't have or even know how to recharge. Well, this is fun. Look, I'm not for overbearing tutorials in video games that feel like they're straight out of mobile games and last hours long, where they try to hold your hand and say, no, monkey, this is what you do. You push this button and that button, and then you walk forward, and then we'll have another screen here telling you what button to push. I'm not a fan of those tutorials that last hours long, but I at least like some guidance on what I'm supposed to be doing in No Man's Sky. And I couldn't find a digital manual for this game, so there's that. And the PS4 digital manual barely told me what the objective of the game was to do either. Once I played more of Sean Murray's Hell Simulator, I got the hang of the game. And then I noticed the fatal flaw with No Man's Sky. It's one of the dullest, most desolate games I've played, void of any source of fun whatsoever, and let me explain why. No Man's Sky is supposed to be a space exploration simulator in a future where man has explored space and you can travel space and you can discover all these planets. And you play some guy and your goal is to do things in space like visit random planets, mine shit, mine more shit, try to avoid robots and maybe native wildlife trying to kill you, mine more shit, 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 walk around this slow planet and that you have no idea about, and you don't have a map, just some waypoints which seem to disappear half the time. Mine more shit, mine more shit, mine more shit, mine this shit you need to get your ship going, mine more shit, mine more shit, mine more shit. Unlike other space theme games where you're setting a story with something to actually do, and a story you might have fun, like, doing, in No Man's Sky you have absolutely nothing to do besides mine, and that's it. I suffered this game for about 2 hours. And during those 2 hours, No Man's Sky gave me a special feeling. And it made me realize the reason people play video games. The game felt like a goddamn waste of time, but not only that, but it had a special, desolate, depressing feeling. And here's a good example of this feeling that I'm talking about. Imagine you're broke. You've got no job. And the last few jobs you worked at were so bad you're kind of burnt out on wanting another low-wage, entry-level job where you get yelled at by your boss and pissed off, unpleasable customers for hours. And then you realize the only reason you got the job was because everybody else quit before you. Yet at the same time, you've got no money or time to suffer at some college where you're going to end up having to take another history class to get you the job that will make you the money that all the cool kids get. You look at coding boot camps, for example, thinking maybe I'll get a job after taking this camp, and then you see the price. Oh wait, they want 15 grand for this bullshit. 15 grand for a coding boot camp. My dad does not drive a Benz, so you're going to say, fuck that, I'm going to learn it myself, even though there's no supporting you, with no teachers to help you, your friends either don't know shit, or they're too busy playing CSGO or actually making money from their jobs, and your parents are too busy working, watching ESPN, listening to shitty radio shows, or doing housework while bitching at you to get your ass off the computer chair and do something with your life. So you try to learn and you get nowhere, and you start to feel hopeless and empty inside. Like you're just wasting your time on something for what? A promise of something more, thinking you'll get out of that lifestyle of living only on money from, say, junk you sell online, or money you get here and there from other stuff. You can't stand living another day in the situation you're in. You're making no progress. And that maybe this will help you out of the situation you're in, but yet you're nowhere near that life. You're nowhere near that that goal. You're nowhere near getting that nice job that'll make you live the life you dream of. And meanwhile, your will is hurt by the fact that somewhere in the West Coast, some waste is getting paid to sit around and do nothing because their rich parents had the connections to get them a job. It's a feeling of hopelessness. It's a feeling of emptiness. It's a feeling that you're wasting your time away doing whatever you're doing and not going anywhere with your life, not getting out of wherever you're at right now. And that's the feeling you get playing No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky has been quote-unquote patched, and even though they've patched it, it still feels desolate and depressing. It's absolutely devoid of anything fun, engaging, or entertaining, or anything even remotely feeling like those. You literally do nothing in No Man's Sky but mine items on procedurally generated planets, and that's literally it. That's all you ever do in No Man's Sky. You move slowly, your ship doesn't exactly move the fastest, and this means more and more waiting. The game is a time sink of nothingness, designed to soak away whatever remaining life and time was left in that of the hedonistic nerd who would play this game. And I spent most of my hour in the tutorial running back and forth solely on a planet, struggling to find my ship, losing interest in this game quickly, with the remainder of the time playing this game being to film footage for a review of this game, a review of this desolate mess of a game. I wasted 2 hours of my life playing this mess. 2 hours, I say, I could have used to do more productive things, even though all I would have done was watch nerds argue in chat rooms, watch YouTube videos, and play better video games. I played more thinking that there's maybe more to this game than the tutorial world. I mean, that's what people in my comments say. They say, oh, you didn't play all the way. You played an hour. That's not enough. You should play 5 hours. That's when the game really kicks off. So I played some more of it, thinking maybe there's more to this in the tutorial world. And no, all you do is you walk around in some world, mine shit, and that's about it. The game does now have multiplayer, so you can play a desolate and empty multiplayer with people whose lives are so dull they decide, oh, what should I play today? Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, GTA? Now, I'll fire up a game with absolutely nothing to do. A game where staring at the wall all day as your depression eats you away is more entertaining than putting the game in. The game has marginally more gameplay than some crap like Second Life, which is a game where you can at least either piss off the community of that game or watch videos of people pissing off the sad residents of that game. A game where its inhabitants spend all day pretending to be what they desperately want to be on the internet in front of their computer screen, or pretend that they're actually scoring, all to make up for the fact that their life's a pathetic waste. It's a void, devoid of any meaning besides spending government dollars or their parents' money on the newest gadgets. Yes, I went there. Even Second Life, the absolute bottom of the barrel towards what could possibly be a game, and maybe humanity as well, has more entertainment value than this turd does. A game where its sole purpose is to be a 3D chat room. A gimmick applied to the old concept of a chat room, which is something that could even be accessed on that VAX, SGI Octane, or Sun that sits in the corner of your college as the staff says, no, you can't take this home, before they inevitably send it off to a scrapper in a few years, never to be seen again, except maybe by a dumpster diver before they call the cops on somebody dumpster diving stuff that was going to get thrown out anyway, even though disposing of e-waste is illegal. God, I love how colleges act even worse than corporate America does at times. So is there anything remotely good about No Man's Sky that doesn't make me want to go on a rant about how shit everything is? Well, the game has nice graphics at least, even if they're as generic and as soulless as some tech demo you can find online, or a benchmark, or the typical PS4 exclusive. The frame rate runs okay on the first world, but on the second world I landed on, the frame rate just took a nosedive, like the game's trying to render all this stuff and procedurally generate the planet in real time. I mean, whoa, it's a technical feat to land on a randomly generated world with hero load screens. But what is there on these worlds? Nothing but mining and finding some stuff somewhere and more mining. Wow, what a fun and quality game. I'm going to give Sean Murray all my money for this. $60. There's some generic story shoehorned in a patch, but it doesn't interest me at all, and it had nothing whatsoever to keep me hooked. There's no hook in No Man's Sky. There really isn't. And that's one of the most important things any game developer should nail, the hook. You know, if somebody buys your game for $60, especially nowadays with, like, you know, with basically games being more and more expensive, they're going to want to be interested in this game. So you got to keep them hooked. And No Man's Sky does not hook anybody. It does not hook you. There's no hook that keeps you playing this game. There's just, wow, technical feat. We've got this giant world. Wow, and that's it. And that's it. So, yeah, that's the thing with No Man's Sky. But the music is nice, at least, and it had some effort put into it. And when I used Google, I found out that the band released an album of music from the game, with better reviews than the game itself on Amazon. No surprise there, even if the music feels generic a tad. I mean, it's not bad, it's just sort of there, if you know what I mean. The controls besides the menu are clunkier, since it's one of those third-person games where your aiming is sort of detached from the character's movement. And when the frame rate really tanks, well, yeah, the controls kind of do too. So all in all, No Man's Sky sucks. Even after patches, it's a desolate, empty, depressing game with nothing at all to do in it. It's like you're staring at the wall, struggling to accept your fate as a broke kid who's never going to go anywhere in life, who can't shake off the delusions of grandeur that you had when you were in middle school, and that you're probably going to be about as useful to everybody and the world as Narcissa Wright is. And you play video games to distract yourself from the fact that your life sucks if you're an addict. And if you're just a casual gamer, you're doing it to have fun on the weekends, and maybe with your friends over too. Because that's why you'd play video games, is to have fun. But you know the worst part about this all? There are gamers willing to give Hello Games a free pass, and if you don't believe me, look at the positive Steam reviews. Never mind the fact that they took 2 years to make the game close to how it was advertised as. Never mind the fact that the game is still a dull, desolate bore fest with absolutely nothing to do and devoid of anything resembling fun. These gamers will happily get shat on, and they make me lose interest in the hobby because it shows that gamers can easily have wool pulled over their eyes to distract them from bad business practices, and they will start defending these companies they said they were boycotting just a year ago. Patches shouldn't be used to fix games. They should be used to make good games better, and games don't seem to get patches for that purpose nowadays. Everything about No Man's Sky is depressing. It really is. That's all that needs to be said on No Man's Sky, people. Please, don't buy this game.